Maybe just a short statement from the mayor in English.
And then we'll go straight into questions.
I can answer in English.
Okay, so I'm going to go very, a lot of things been said in the last few days around, especially around parks, because Montrealers love them so much and we don't want to close them. So I've already shared many elements like closing, for example, the parking on the Montreal. I just want to add that for the long weekend, we've decided 2 days ago that now only pedestrians can have access to the Olmsted road on the mountain. If you're a cyclist, you can use the Camillien Hood, of course. As well, we have decided to close the pedestrian that goes over the Canal La Chine to access the market. So this is now being closed, but you can always, we also decided to close down, close to cars, the Charlevoix Bridge, so people can actually walk that there while keeping the right distance. Now what we're adding, though there will continue to be presence of the SPVM in parks, because we think it's very important that people follow the recommendation of no gathering and keeping the 2 meters distance if you're not a family. We will add police officers at different entry points in the Old Port and Old Montreal, because last weekend there was a lot of people there, and as well there was people from the city but also people from outside Montreal. And this is where I want to remind everybody that you should be using a park close to home. If you don't live close by the Old Port, well, maybe you should be using another park or walk in your area. I also want to say that for this weekend, we will review the layout of the Montreal Avenue, because it is a very dense borough. There's a lot of people there, and while people are really working hard to keep the right distance, it's hard because there's a lot of convenience stores, essentials stores there, so it's difficult. So we've decided that between Esplanade and Papineau, it will be the south side parking lane that will be closed and transformed into a sidewalk. And the north side parking lane between Papineau and Folum will be for pedestrians. So in total, it's about 2.7 kilometers of a safety corridor for people to use. I think it's important to understand that this is not a new place to go for a walk. This is really to accommodate citizens living in that neighborhood to do the essential movements that needs to be done while keeping the right distance. So I'm really asking all people living on the plateau and people from outside, don't go walk there, and people from the plateau, that it's really to do your essential movements. This measure has been decided working, of course, with the borough, but also the merchant association there. So the SPVM will be there to support and make sure that everything is going well. And if we feel like it's a good idea, we will be working with other boroughs where there's a lot of people, where the density is very high, but it will be a case by case. We want to take time to evaluate every situation, because again, the recommendation to stay home until May 4th is essential. We want to respect that, but we also want to make sure that people can do safe trips, essential trips. Just about the different buildings, the big buildings where there's a lot of people living there, especially with the OMHM. We are there to support the OMHM with any kind of support, making sure that common areas are clean. There's been some raising awareness campaign, if I could say, the information being given to people, residents, telling them what are the right way of doing it, or the rules around hygiene and everything. And so, I mean, that takes me to my last part, which is how do we make sure that we stay strong as a big community? And within our big community, there's many communities. And so it is important not to discriminate. We don't want to go into massive denunciation. We want to keep an open heart, a good spirit. Everybody's making efforts. whatever it's maybe the homeless population and the most vulnerable, let's have an open mind about them because they're going through a very difficult time. We're all going through difficult times, but for them it's even harder. So let's keep that in mind. Same thing for the various majority of the majority of religious communities, which we work with very closely in collaboration. And it is important to, we just want to make sure that no one becomes a scapegoat. That's what we want to avoid. And so there's holidays coming up. There's going to be different celebration. It's going to be tough because usually we spend a long holiday together celebrating, and it's not going to be possible this time. So I ask you to continue to follow the recommendation. This is how we will go through this as fast as possible, and I want us to stay very strong as a big community of Montrealers. So thank you.
In English, from CBC, Madamo, what kinds of relief can you give cultural venues if social distancing remains in effect for the long term, like music venues, theater, for Madame la Mairesse?
So like we announced yesterday, all the big events will be canceled until July 2nd. All the big events that have a contract with the City of Montreal. So, and in the longer term, we definitely want to support the different venues, the different cultural organization. It will be a team effort also working with Quebec, finding ways to support those institutions and even those artists. So the City of Montreal wants to honor all the contracts and all the work that we're supposed to do with the different cultural events and everything else. But of course, it will be. We're still looking at how that everything will be. How we can support financially those organizations.
Thank you. For the SPVM, maybe the City of Ottawa says it will fine people $365 if they throw medical masks or gloves on the ground. Is Montreal looking at doing something similar with bylaw? For Dr. Drouin, the City of Westmount is asking all residents and visitors walking or running on pedestrian walkway to move in the same direction depending on which side of the street they use. Should Montreal at large ask people to do this to encourage physical distancing?
At this time, we see that where we have problems of keeping distanciation, the 2 meters, we have put some solutions that are for arteries like Montreal. But I don't think it's at this time. We don't see that it is necessary to really put this in every side, in every street. But mainly, we'll check street by street where there is a problem. Keeping the 2 meters, to respect the 2 meters, to see if we have to add specific indications.
Thank you. From the Gazette, could you please spell out the rules and guidelines for Easter and Passover? Can family members who do not live together celebrate these holidays together, or only people who live under one roof?
It is only people should celebrate Easter, only families that live under the same roof. We should not visit other family members or friends. What I encourage is that during this festivities, you call people or family members or even neighbors who are alone to see if they're in need or if they just to have a chat, because we know people are isolated. But please respect, there is no gathering. It is the same thing as we've been doing for a couple of weeks. Only the family members living on the same roof should gather to celebrate Easter.